Hi guys, here I have 3 different IEMs that I've been enjoying quite much these past 6 months. I'm not really an audiophile, so I'm just gonna be talking about the gaming aspect here and what I think about all these 3 IEMs. I also tried a fairly controlled way of testing the technicalities in the game of Apex. I went to the firing range, sat at the specific place where there were 2 bots strafing on both sides and closed my eyes. I then spun my mouse to a random direction and tried to listen where the bots were located. I also did the same with throwing a Kiwi ult behind me to see how good the layering aspect is in game. These tests of course assume that the audio is similarly coded in the firing range and in the base game, which can be a bold assumption since it's Apex we're talking about. But these tests were pretty successful and I heard some differences between the 3 of these. But let's start with the cheapest of the bunch, the Truthear HEXAs. These IEMs cost around $80 and they feature 1 dynamic driver plus 3 balanced armature drivers, hybrid structure inside. On the outside, these IEMs are the smallest of the 3 and they feature a very sleek minimalistic design with an aluminium faceplate. You also see slightly inside the IEM, which is a cool feature. The nozzles are rather large, like on Truthear IEMs usually, and they have this lipless structure that flares out. More on the fitment and the comfort of the nozzles later. The IEMs come with a good amount of ear tips with varying bore sizes and 1 pair of foam tips. I didn't end up using these much since the nozzles ended up hurting my ear a bit after a long session, but I found more comfort with SpinFit W1s and large sized Dunu Candy ear tips. Here is a little nice to know fitment tip by the way. If the IEM hurts your ear canals, it is not always that swapping to a smaller ear tip will help. Instead, the problem could be the length of the nozzle, which can be fixed with the shorter ear tip with the larger size. So usually I use medium-sized ear tips, but on the Hexas I achieved the best comfort and seal with the large Dunu Candy ear tip, which I have currently on my Hidizs MP145, which I'm gonna talk about next. But this ear tip is a shorter profile ear tip than usual, so it provides nice fix to that fitment issue. The shells of the Truthear HEXAs are quite lightweight and these feel very effortless to wear. So these are my go-to IEM if I'm going for a run or to the gym. So yeah, no problems with long time comfort with these and with some properly fitting ear tips. The cable on the Truthear HEXAs is good enough and it's silent. It is the same as on the Truthear X Chronicle Zeros and yeah, it's a bit flimsy and not a very high quality feeling, but it gets the job done. These IEMs also come with a fox leather pouch to store your IEMs, which is always nice. I don't exactly know where it is currently, but yeah, it's included in the box. Tuning wise, the Hexa is a very neutral IEM, which in my opinion suits gaming incredibly well. There is no overpowering of any sound and gunshots sound in line with other audio. On the footstep audio test, these perform also very nicely and I can hear and pinpoint the enemy footsteps even with the Kiwi ult going on in the background. But here's the thing. These have a smaller soundstage than the other 2 pairs in this video, which then brings the more distant footsteps closer to you. There have been times where I think I'm being jumped on and in reality the enemy was much further back. So the distance perception is harder with these, but on the other hand, if you know what to expect and know that the enemy can be further back than it sounds like, this is not a huge problem. So for these, I think the price to performance ratio is really good and upgrading from these with just the gaming aspect in mind is gonna give you a lot of diminishing returns. Then we have my newest edition, the Hidizs MP145s. These IEMs are using an ultra large planar magnetic driver and these will cost you around $150. These shells are rather bulky and are fully built from aluminium. The build quality is very good and they feature this really cool looking design which is inspired after whales' biological features. Not the German dude, the animal. The nozzles on these are also pretty large and have these interchangeable filters that also act as a lip of the nozzle. More on these later. With the IEM you get a wide variety of stock tips with different bore sizes, a nice little pouch which has this nice opening closing feature. Then also of course the interchangeable filters and of course the cable. The cable is built pretty well and feels high quality, but sadly it introduced some weird ground loop noise with my desktop DAC amp combo, which shouldn't be possible since it's connected to my computer with an optical cable and the power adapter cable is grounded, but changing the cable eliminated the issue completely. With these IEMs I also had to use the large Duno Candy ear tips to get a good seal. I tried the included ear tips, and while they are good enough to use, the fitment was not the best for me personally. Tuning wise, this is a pair that's bassier than others I've tried. The bass and sub-bass region is pretty pronounced and has a lot of punchiness to it. This is very noticeable while listening to music, but also while gaming, and especially wingman shots have a really strong kick to them in Apex. In terms of gaming immersion, this pair is pretty impressive, and I think if I ever want to play Battlefield 1 campaign with the HUD off and fully immerse myself in the experience, I would choose this pair for my audio. For sweaty gaming experience, this pair offers great performance as well, and for those who prefer a bit warmer set of IEMs, this could be a solid choice. With the interchangeable filters you can change the sound a bit, with the red ones giving even more warmth to the tone and the silver ones emphasizing more on the bright areas of the sound. I however prefer the stock ones from these. The footstep audio with these is also very nicely pronounced, and I had no real problems pinpointing enemies. The sound stage is pretty large on these since these are planar IEMs, and with these the depth perception was better than with the Hexas for example. So I'd say that these are really good set as well, and a solid choice if you want to try out some planar IEMs. Bear in mind that the fitment could be a slight problem since these things are big. Then lastly, let's talk about the much praised Kiwi ear Orchestra Lites. This pair is by far the most expensive of the bunch, but also the most premium feeling pair of the bunch. This pair will cost roughly $250 and feature 8 balanced armature drivers on each. The size of the shell is quite large, but it's really nicely molded transparent resin with the colored faceplate. It's cool that you can see the insides of these so well. The nozzles are quite thick as well, without any lips to secure the ear tips, but strangely I had no serious comfort issues with these. One thing that might require some adjusting is the fact that these are not vented because they are fully made with balanced armatures, and balanced armatures don't require any venting, but there can be some pressure built up. So I've seen people recommend the Tangsu Sankai ear tips. I don't know if I pronounced that even remotely correctly, but those should help with this extra feeling of pressure since those ear tips have some sort of texture on the surface. But this following tip has also helped me tremendously. After putting these on your ear, just grab your earlobe and lift a bit. The extra pressure will escape. With the IEM you get 3 different kinds of stock tips, a cable and a zipper case that has a pretty nice and solid feeling. The stock tips worked fine for me, but for the best seal I chose to use the SpinFit W1s with these. I've yet to try the recommended Tangsu Sankai tips, but they are currently on their way to me, so I'll leave a sticky comment about my experiences after trying those. The stock cable is honestly very nice, and it's silent in use while being properly thick. The tuning on these is very balanced and suitable for gaming purposes. The bass is just where I want it to be. It's not overpowering but has a decent punchiness and quantity. Every sound in game, from shooting a wingman to pulling out a Revenant heirloom, it feels like these sounds are how they should be. The footstep audio test with these revealed that also the imaging is really good on these. It was so ridiculously easy to hear where every small sound comes from with these, and even with the Kiwi alt going on. So yeah, while these cost a bit much compared to the others on this video, the sound quality and the technicalities on these are just so good. So I'd say with these you really get your money's worth and even more, but that is something I can say about the other 2 pairs as well. For strictly gaming purposes, you will be more than fine with the Hexas or the MP145s or the countless other pairs of IEMs that have been recommended with gaming use in mind at lower price points. But for those that have some extra money to spare and really like listening to music as a hobby, as well as gaming, I would say that the Orchestra Lites are extremely well suited for both. That is it for this quick little IEM video. Thanks for watching and see you on Friday. Goodbye.